Make some noise, people. How are you all doing? So we've got one more keynote left and then the awards section. I think the keynote now as well as the awards are all very exciting. So I hope you're hanging on to your energy and fueling up on coffee and tea because you're going to put your hands to use a lot straight after this last keynote. So let me welcome on stage our final speaker at GMASA 2017, the 5th edition. His topic is Building for a Billion People. Please welcome on stage Nikhil Kumar from Insprit, who's also the lead of the team that built the Beam app. Please welcome Nikhil Kumar.
Check. Okay, so I'm going to ensure I walk away with more claps than what I walked in. So thank you so much for having me here. I have a special topic to talk about today, and today I thought about, since it's about mobile and we're talking so much about apps and so on, I wanted to talk about what does it take to build for a billion people in India, right? We've all been trying to build various different solutions in the form of mobility apps and so on and so forth. But then what does it really take to solve country scale problems in India, and how do we need to solve these problems? So today my argument is going to be about that we don't need products anymore in India, we need great platforms. Right? And that's my core argument today on how do we build societal platforms that will impact people, that will enable entrepreneurship, that will enable people out of their poverty and so on and so forth. So that's my core argument today. So just before we start, let's get some starters about India, right? As a country, what are we? So we are around 1.3 billion people. 1 billion mobile connections have been issued. There are 350 million internet users in India. We have over 600 million active bank accounts. 86% of India doesn't have medical insurance. 30 million people in India go to poverty because of health. 600 million people in India don't have access to toilets, right? So if you look at all the first few numbers, all the glossy numbers, of the number of people, the mobile connections, internet users, 315 million smartphones, 215 million active WhatsApp users, that's all the good part of India. The sad part of India is we still have 600 million people who don't even have access to toilets. So if you look at India now, you'll see that we are an extremely big mixed bag of people, right? It's almost like, it's actually larger than EU put together. Cultures differ, languages differ, preferences differ. So if you're really thinking about building for the Indian consumer, you'll have to first unlearn. You're not the consumer anymore, right? All of us who are trying to here in this room are all the 15 to 20 million or 30 million people who know how to use internet every day and interact with mobile apps. So if you want to scale, if you want to build something really at big scale, you'll have to understand India. And this was just some numbers to get started. So why does platforms matter, right? There are largely two reasons why platforms matter. Today, economic leverage has moved towards platforms. And second, we need platforms for social impact. So, the first argument about economic leverage, you'll see that the most valuable companies today have all evolved from being digital products before, right? How many of you in the room are on Tinder? Come on, more young people here. Nice. So there's 3 people. Okay. So Tinder is now a $3.5 billion company, right? It's just built with one single feature called Connect with Facebook. So, this shows the amount of value a platform creates economically, right? Amazon, which is again one of the most valuable companies, does net profits of around $8 to $10 billion on their AWS. Right? All of these, what's the theme? All of these started as digital products and evolved as platforms. So, and something similar has happened in India, and I'll talk about that. And that's my core argument. So what we did is, US was wonderful in building these commercial platforms. And what are we doing in India? How do we build societal platforms? And these societal platforms, why are these societal platforms important for us to solve really big problems? So if you look at India, our first innings was when we had a natural resources, and our second innings was when we said we'll have made in India services. A third was made in India products, right? So we moved from being a large exporter of natural resources to being great in software services to building good, decent products. So what's our fourth innings? So what's the AWS equivalent? And that soft power today is in the form of a platform called India Stack. So the stack, essentially for you to understand, is this is what the government has done in the last few years, is basically to enable different people in the ecosystem to solve problems. So India Stack consists of various different, this is our technology platform or equivalent of AWS for India's problems. So it starts with a presence-less layer, which is Aadhaar. So and this is again going back to my example of a platform being built from a digital product. Aadhaar started as a digital identity product for Indian citizens. Today it's a full-scale platform that allows you to do Aadhaar authentication. So anyone in India can remotely authenticate who he is without being physically present. Aadhaar eKYC as an API. This API allows different people, including regulators in India, to allow paperless onboarding. So you'll see if anybody has bought a Reliance Jio SIM card, if anybody is trying to open a new bank account using biometrics, or if you have upgraded your Paytm wallet using eKYC, all of this is powered by eKYC. So along with this is eSign. So eSign is another platform built by the government of India, which allows any Aadhaar holder in India to digitally sign a document. So much so that even the GST law in the parliament can be passed by electronically signing by our MPs. So we actually have a very advanced IT Act which enables us to do so. So the third layer in the paperless piece is called the DigiLocker layer. The DigiLocker layer is one of the world's most advanced document exchange systems. So this is like Dropbox or Box or Google Drive on steroids. So it's just not a storage solution, it's a document exchange protocol which allows two different systems to interact with each other and exchange information in a machine-readable format. Then you have the cashless layer known as IMPS, which you all might have used in the Indian banking system, called the Immediate Mobile Payment Service. On top of it, built as the Unified Payments Interface. UPI is, if any of you have used the app Beam, it allows you to now send money to 400 million Aadhaar-linked bank accounts or up to 600 million bank accounts which are part of the UPI network with just a click of a button. So that's UPI. And then we have something called the consent architecture, which is a technology framework, which basically India will be one of those countries with an advanced privacy law, which will enable every user to control his own data and make it his own use. So, you can expect India to be more data rich than economically rich in the next coming few years. So if you look at all the other platforms which have been built on top of it, GST, one of the reasons GST is big is also because GST is built as open APIs. It allows software application providers to build innovative applications, workflow automations and so on. And now it enables a small business to access his own tax data to get better credit and so on and so forth. Again, built all as APIs. So you'll notice that, why do we need these platforms, right? So one of the theme of the government has been to do, minimum and allow people to, or entrepreneurs to do a lot of things. So this is a classic example of that. And this is an example of a technology societal problem, right? If you look at these layers, what does it do? Aadhaar basically provides an identity layer. UPI essentially provides a payments layer. DigiLocker provides you a cashless layer and so on, right? So all of these are aimed at solving certain societal problems. And if you look at how is it solving these societal problems, the most poorest of India, the 400 million people who have no earning and depend on the government for their food every day, are using this in the form of direct beneficiary transfer, right? All of that you hear about a farmer getting a subsidy or somebody getting an LPG subsidy or somebody getting a public distribution service subsidy, those 400 million people are what I have called as the India 3. So for them, it's about how do I get my benefits, right? It was estimated that out of 100 rupees that the central government that sends to a citizen in the scheme, only 30 to 40 rupees reaches. So one goal of a societal platform like this is to improve service delivery. So today what happens is that the 100 rupees that you were supposed to get now directly gets credit to your bank account, right? If you think about it, it's extremely powerful. It increases the gross earning of a family by 3x every month. Automatically their lifestyle goes up, right? So that's the impact for people in India 3. In India 2, which is in green, which is basically known as the aspirational class, these are our new people who are coming into the formal economy. These are people like the Ola drivers and the Uber drivers who used to drive before, or even take example of the auto wala. You will actually see there are two types of auto walas today. One who just rides his autos and takes cash, and then there's another auto driver who's on Ola, right? So those 100 million households today, and there is only one problem to solve for this 100 million households, and I'll talk about this in a little bit more in detail. And then in the orange on the top is all us, the elite and the high class. So we are around 100 million households, around 300 to 400 million people. This is typically the same gang who's on Paytm, who's on Freecharge, who's on Uber, Ola, all the app. This is the app economy of India, the one on the top, right? It's hardly 40 to 45 million active monthly internet users. So for them, it is about process reinvention. For us, it's about, I used to take 1 day or 1 week to get a SIM card. Can I now get a SIM card in 2 minutes, right? For us, it's about, I used to send money in a day's time. Can I send this money immediately from my bank account in the next minute? So for us, it's about process reinvention. It's not really going to add some extreme value or, in a platform like this. So I'm going to, just to give you an example of how these why are these societal platforms important and how do we use to solve these problems. So if you look at India Stack as a technology backbone, right? And what do you solve for the Bharat-2 market? So if you all would relate, when you are growing up, there are essentially in the Bharat-2 market, there is only one problem, right? Only 30% of Indian households have access to formal credit. So 70% of families today depend on informal credit, and in the Bharat-2 market, you'll generally see there is just two things that people want to do in their lives. One, save money for their children's education, or two, save money for their child's marriage, right? And so, so I would actually make the core argument to say that if we have to really get the Bharat-2 people out of poverty today, we have to improve their access to credit, right? And how do we do so is an example that I'm going to talk about. So one of the goals of a societal platform like India Stack is essentially to bring in financial inclusion in payments, lendings and savings. So I'll talk about how this India Stack can be applied in real life to solve this problem. So if you think about a lady called Rajni, so this is a character that we use to depict. So Rajni is this daily wage laborer. The way she leads her daily life is she goes to a money lender in the morning. She says that I want some money to do business today. This is how people, our street vendors, actually procure their vegetables and come outside and sell, right? So they go and say that this is the amount of money that I need. So let's say you need 100 rupees. You're supposed to go back and pay 110 or 120 rupees at the end of the day, right? So our goal with something like India Stack is to basically take the most toughest of problem. Like, can a person get an intraday loan, right? At the convenience of the formal economy, at the convenience of informal economy, which is availability of money, but at the convenience and the protection of a formal economy, which is, can they get better pricing? Can they not have predatory things like people coming and haunting you for recovery and so on and so forth? So that's the mix. So if you look at it, basically, how does this India Stack apply for somebody like this? So Rajni needs a loan. So she goes to a credit marketplace, and in the credit marketplace, she does her Aadhaar eKYC. So in order to do Aadhaar KYC, all that she needs is a biometric or probably a mobile OTP. So she opens an account. Now, when she opens an account, she agrees to share her data. So she has her data from Digital Locker. Let's say the Andhra government has now issued her income certificate, her caste certificate, and the subsidiaries that she is getting, including the LPG, including her ration card, which is digitally available today. So now she gives permission to, let's say, app X to fetch this data. Once the app X fetches this data, they basically run a credit assessment and a credit score of Rajni. Now, based on that, they show a bunch of offers because it's a credit marketplace app. So she could have customized offers from different loan providers. And then once he sees these offers, he sees accepts the best offer. Now, in order to accept this best offer, she needs to now sign an agreement, a loan agreement. So she uses e-sign to sign this agreement. Again, what she does is she enters her Aadhaar number, she gets an OTP on a mobile phone, digitally signs the document, and then she enters her account number and details in UPI. She gives a mobile number. So as in when her credit assessment is done, immediately in the next minute, money gets credited to her bank account. Now what she could do is UPI 2.0 will now allow something called e-mandate, which will allow a merchant or a bank or any loan provider to deduct your bank account digitally. You don't have to physically do it anymore. She now gives permission to this Credit Place app and says that, look, you can deduct my bank account at X interval for Y amount of value. And then she uses another payments app to now digitally collect payments for her business. So now what it does is her working capital needs is now being validated by her business transactions that she's doing. So this is the virtuous cycle. So then she goes back to the same lender the next day, she gets a better money and so on and so forth. So this is a great example of how a large scale problem, right? And this is not a problem for technologists alone, this is not a political problem. This has everybody in the ecosystem to come together. It needs regulators to come together, it needs bankers to come together, it needs the politicians to come together, and most importantly, it needs people like us who want to build for the next billion in India to come together and use these APIs to build such solutions. So last point, why do we need more such societal platforms? So I said that, my core argument today is that we don't need better products in India, we need better platforms in India. And, this is just the beginning of a societal platform. The way now we have to think about our future is, can I dissect a city's problem? Can I have a full stack for this to solve the city's electricity problem? Can I have a full stack like this to solve the transportation problem? Can I have a full stack to solve water problems? And if you think about modularizing our problems, so today our approach to problem solving in India is that, look, okay, if you look at it from 10,000 feet high, you will look at all the problems in a solution mode, because that's the way we have been taught to think about it. So if we actually divide these problems, just like how you saw in Rajni's use case, that you have to give somebody a digital identity, right? It starts from there. Now you have to give them a banking identity. Then it means you need to have a Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana type of a program. Now you need something like digital your payment acceptance. Something like demonetization was required to bring up that user education to say that you can now collect money, right? And now you need banks and other NBFCs to move in order to offer less risk credit to all of these people. So, all of these people have to come together to solve problems. And then if you actually see the magic that if actually happens, you will end up solving these problems. And another point that, why is it important for us to contribute or build these public or societal platforms is essentially because of this, that if you have private commercial platforms, all the lock-in all the value that gets created is locked into that platform, right? Today, if AWS is one of the largest cloud providers, if tomorrow Freshdesk wins or Zendesk wins, it doesn't matter, AWS continues to win, right? So all the value that these platforms create get locked in when you have a private platform like that. However, when you have a public platform, the value is distributed, right? And more importantly, just to end up, and I know I'm running short of time, the impact that it creates, right? So when you're looking at building private platforms, your goal is to basically monetize these platforms. Your goals are reverse worked on how much money can I make? How do I monetize this? However, when you look at a public or a societal platform, your goals are driven by impact. Can I change people's lives is what our goal should be when we build public platforms. So thank you so much. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you guys soon.
I'd like to request Mercy from GMASA to please present Nikhil with a memento. When you build for 1 billion people, think of the biggest impact you can have. That was Nikhil Kumar from Insprit. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're tweeting and sharing notes from that talk, thank you, Mercy, and thank you, Nikhil. The hashtag is GMASA, and you can tag us on Twitter. Our handle is @the_GMASA. It's time now for the awards. But a quick note before that, I'd like to acknowledge our sponsors who've made this event possible. Our platinum sponsor, Champ Cash, gold sponsors, Caldorado, Cake, Collect Scent, and Ad Alta. After party sponsor, Apps Flyer, Lanyard sponsor, AdClick Media, and Wi-Fi sponsor, Aptoid. And time now for the GMASA Awards. This is the most exciting part.